Rajab has arrived quietly, yet it carries a weight many hearts fail to recognize. It comes not shouting, not demanding attention, but waiting to see who will wake up. One of the sacred months, honored by Allah long before we ever marked calendars or set reminders. And yet, the greatest mistake many believers make when Rajab begins is thinking that nothing needs to change. Life continues the same, habits remain untouched, hearts stay distracted, and the soul postpones preparation as if time is guaranteed. Rajab is not meant to be wasted waiting for Ramadan. That mindset alone steals its blessing. Rajab is not an announcement month. It is a warning month. It is Allah giving you space to return before the doors of mercy open fully. Ignoring this is like standing at the edge of a river of light and choosing to stay thirsty because you plan to drink later. Later is never promised. One of the most dangerous mistakes is continuing sins with the assumption that repentance can wait. Rajab exposes the illusion of delay. A heart that does not soften in Rajab will struggle to awaken in Ramadan. You do not suddenly become spiritually disciplined overnight. Hearts need training. Rajab is where discipline begins, where the soul is slowly pulled away from heedlessness and reminded of its purpose. Another mistake is treating Rajab like an ordinary month while hoping for extraordinary change later. Allah honors times, and when Allah honors something, it is an invitation to honor it too. This is not about adding endless acts overnight, but about stopping what hardens the heart. The unnecessary arguments, the careless words, the endless scrolling, the distractions that leave you empty. Rajab asks you to stop feeding what weakens your soul. Many people focus on doing more, while ignoring what needs to be removed. Rajab is not only about increasing worship, it is about decreasing negligence. It is about silencing what pulls you away from Allah and reviving what brings you closer. A heart cluttered with distractions cannot receive light. No matter how much worship you stack on top of it, Rajab is also a month of honesty. It asks a simple but heavy question. If Ramadan arrived tomorrow, would your heart be ready? Not your intentions, not your plans, but your habits. What you repeatedly do now is what you will carry into Ramadan. This is why Rajab matters. It reveals the truth of where you stand without the pressure of crowds or expectations. Another mistake is thinking that small changes don't matter. They matter deeply. One sincere dua at night, one sin you decide to leave, one prayer you guard more carefully, one moment where you choose Allah over desire. These small acts in Rajab are seeds. Ramadan only reveals what was planted earlier. Rajab is mercy disguised as time. Time to repair what you neglected. Time to soften a heart that became distant. Time to ask Allah to carry you to Him before exhaustion, before regret, before it becomes harder to return. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for perfection. Respond now, while the door is already open. If Rajab passes unchanged, Ramadan will feel heavy instead of sweet. But if Rajab is honored, even quietly, even imperfectly, Allah places barakah in what follows. This month is not asking for everything. It is asking for sincerity, awareness, and the courage to stop before it is too late. Many Muslims approach the month of Rajab as if it is just another month in the calendar, passing through it without noticing its special significance or unique blessings. The mistake lies not in failing to worship entirely, but in assuming that life and spiritual opportunities can continue on autopilot, that the same habits, distractions, and sins can be carried through this sacred time without consequence. Rajab is one of the 4 sacred months in Islam, a period that carries immense potential for spiritual elevation, reflection, and preparation for the coming months, especially Ramadan. Treating it as ordinary is to ignore an invitation that has been placed before the believer by Allah Himself. It is to stand at the threshold of mercy and let it pass by, thinking that later will be sufficient. The human tendency to postpone spiritual growth is powerful. It whispers that tomorrow is the time for more prayer, more Quran recitation, more dhikr, and more reflection. While the intention may feel good, it often results in the heart remaining in the same place it was yesterday. Rajab is meant to disrupt this complacency. It comes as a quiet reminder that time is limited, life is fleeting, and spiritual opportunities are precious. The month calls for awareness, urging Muslims to wake up from habitual routines and assess the condition of their hearts. To ignore this month is to delay what could have been a transformative period of connection with Allah. One of the consequences of treating Rajab as ordinary is that the heart becomes accustomed to negligence. When a believer ignores the sacredness of this month, they miss the chance to soften their heart before Ramadan arrives. Spiritual discipline does not appear suddenly. It is cultivated slowly through consistent effort. Rajab provides that opportunity to begin the process. By ignoring it, the soul is deprived of the gradual preparation that allows worship in Ramadan to be more meaningful, more attentive, and more rewarding. Another aspect of this mistake is underestimating the blessings associated with Rajab. Allah grants times and periods that hold special weight, where deeds are multiplied, sins are forgiven, and hearts are drawn closer to Him. These are opportunities that are rare and should be approached with seriousness. Failing to honor Rajab means failing to benefit from these multiplied rewards. It is like walking past a fountain of water while thirsty, believing that another fountain will come later. The opportunity is real, but the timing is crucial. Treating Rajab as ordinary also affects the way a believer engages with their daily actions. Without awareness of the month's sanctity, daily routines remain mechanical, and habits that distance the soul from Allah are left unchecked. Words that harm, distractions that consume time, and sins that accumulate are left unexamined because the believer has not taken the month as a chance to reset. Rajab is a call to pause, to reflect, and to actively correct the course of one's spiritual journey before the intensity of Ramadan begins. Furthermore, overlooking Rajab can create a false sense of security. Many Muslims assume that their intentions alone, without immediate action, will carry them through the sacred months. While intentions are vital, they must be paired with action. Rajab is the month that tests whether a believer can translate intention into tangible effort. To treat it as ordinary is to delay this crucial test, leaving the heart unprepared for the more demanding spiritual exercises of the coming months. Ultimately, failing to recognize Rajab as a sacred period is a missed opportunity to grow, to cleanse the heart, and to build momentum for the months ahead. It is not merely a lapse in awareness, but a mistake that shapes how one experiences Ramadan and the subsequent months. The month calls for intentionality, reflection, and action. And ignoring this call is to overlook a divine gift that has been placed specifically to prepare and elevate the believer's soul. Rajab is not simply a prelude to Ramadan, it is a sacred opportunity that demands attention, reflection, and immediate action. One of the most common mistakes believers make is assuming that repentance, self-improvement, and spiritual discipline can wait until Ramadan arrives. This mindset underestimates the significance of Rajab and risks missing a month that carries immense blessings and divine mercy. When sins are continued without pause during this month, it is as if the heart is postponing its return to Allah, delaying the purification and preparation that is needed before entering the intense spiritual environment of Ramadan. Rajab is a warning, a chance to realign the soul, and ignoring it is like ignoring a lifeline offered by Allah. The danger of postponing repentance is that the human heart grows comfortable in routine sin. When Rajab begins, many continue the same habits they had in previous months, thinking that their spiritual renewal can always start later. This delay reinforces negligence and makes it increasingly difficult to truly embrace the change required in Ramadan. Spiritual discipline cannot suddenly appear overnight, just as physical fitness cannot be achieved by one day of exercise. The soul requires consistent, gradual effort. Rajab is that preparatory stage where small steps toward repentance, reflection, and worship accumulate into readiness for the heightened devotion of Ramadan. Ignoring this month is essentially delaying spiritual growth and weakening the foundation needed for true transformation. Continuing sins in Rajab is particularly dangerous because the month carries a heightened awareness from Allah. It is one of the sacred months, and deeds performed or neglected during this time carry significant weight. Postponing repentance during Rajab assumes that Allah will respond the same way in later months, but His mercy and the opportunity for preparation are not to be taken for granted. The heart that ignores Rajab risks entering Ramadan with unresolved sins, emotional baggage, and a lack of focus. Instead of being fully present in the worship and reflection of Ramadan, the soul struggles to catch up, weighed down by what could have been addressed in Rajab. Another reason this mistake is so critical is that Rajab is meant to awaken awareness. It is not merely a calendar marker, it is an invitation to self-examination. Allah is asking the believer to pause and ask, where am I in my relationship with Him? What habits have hardened my heart? Which sins have I normalized? To postpone this reflection is to ignore a divine opportunity to correct one's course before entering a period of intense devotion. The longer the delay, the harder it becomes to achieve genuine transformation, and the more likely the soul is to approach Ramadan mechanically, without full sincerity or awareness. Postponing repentance also diminishes the spiritual momentum that can be built in Rajab. Every act of worship, every sincere dua, and every moment of self-restraint plants seeds that grow into a stronger connection with Allah. These seeds, nurtured in Rajab, make the spiritual practices of Ramadan more profound and rewarding. Ignoring them leaves the heart unprepared, as if entering a race without training. The intensity of Ramadan can overwhelm a heart that has not taken advantage of the preparatory months, leading to frustration, fatigue, and a missed opportunity to fully experience Allah's blessings. Rajab's purpose is not simply to mark time, it is to awaken, prepare, and correct. Continuing sins during this month is a denial of that purpose. It delays the purification of the heart, reduces readiness for spiritual discipline, and weakens the soul's capacity to benefit from Ramadan. The month calls for immediate action, for stopping harmful habits, seeking forgiveness, and turning to Allah with sincerity. By responding in Rajab, the believer aligns with Allah's timing, builds spiritual momentum, and enters the coming months with a heart that is lighter, cleaner, and more connected to its Creator.